Already mic testing. Okay, perfect. Let me go to my main camera. Already we're live, and as you guys can tell by the channel and thumbnail, today I'm going to be working on more game logic in Unreal Engine 5 using C++. That's last stream I did go over making meshes and Blender, but I did not really import that in like my Unreal Engine. I will be doing that maybe after adding some kind of rigs. Although before that, I did work on raycasting logic in the stream. Before that stream, I worked on summoning logic. So this stream, I'm planning to wrap up my summoning logic and raycasting. So I'm gonna, practice both of them. And from next stream, I will be working on Unreal's UI or like different game logic, for example, health bar system and all that stuff. That's excuse me guys, let's go to my gameplay stream. There we go. Okay, and let me just go ahead and open my Visual Studio as well and get Claude up here too. And guys, this is like a very old chat of Claude. That's let's say something like say live again exclamation. Okay, let's go ahead and send that real quick. Alright, let's see. And guys, this is the chat I came from like 1 week ago because I did not have much time to actually like change the chat. I wonder if there's like a more recent chat. Alright, you're live, welcome back. So what are we working on today? Last time you mastered raycasting and you can click on objects in the world. That is basically, I think this was the chat. This was like a stream before yesterday, so last Monday's stream. Okay, so today basically I'm going to do the same exact thing. Although before I do that, I'm firstly, let's say, gonna go ahead and work on my summon function. So I'm gonna go ahead and just delete my summon function from here. There we go. Although I won't be like completely starting off with a new project, because that's gonna be kind of stupid because I just want to learn about the functions type stuff. That said, for my summon function, what are a few things that I might first need? Firstly, I do need to go with my sharpshooters as class. I'm gonna go with something like from my void a sharpshooters as class. I want to go ahead and get a hold of my summon function. In my summon function, in order to summon an object, I'm pretty sure I need a few things. I should have actually looked at the reference first before I wrote it. Let me try that first. Okay, so first I gotta get my world. I gotta check if my world does exist. If my world does exist, I gotta get my spawn location, spawn rotation. I gotta spawn my meats in the level by creating a meat, new meat, okay, world spawn. Okay, world spawn actors as templates, a meat, blah blah blah, and then new meat. If it's not equal to null PDR, then I append my new meat in my spawn meats as array. The array, I did like create my array. I'm assuming in my C++ file at the very tip. Okay, I created it down here under my U properties. Gotta find array. There we go. Okay, so this is my T array. Let's like bold the array up. So like, there we go. So I actually know that I'm talking about an array. Now let's hit Control S and go back to my, let's say C++ file. In my C++ file, firstly, I'm going to go ahead and erase my sharpshooters as function. Now I could just go with something like Control-Alt-C. There we go. Okay, now in my sharpshooters as function, firstly, I want to go ahead and get a hold of my world. So I'm going to go ahead and add a comment that says something like get world. Get world is basically, since I want to add some kind of modification to my actual Unreal Engine world, in this case using my raycast, or adding a player or like adding a different character on the window using an input, I need to get Unreal's permission that which is going to allow me to add or like make a few changes to my level, and it's not going to be like static. That's it. I don't know why did my anti-wires just pop up. That's it. I'm gonna go with something like U world. This is Unreal's world. Okay, let's go with WORLD, which is gonna WORLD, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like world. Now my world is going to be equal to my get worlds function. This function gets me access to my UWorld, if that makes any sense. UWorld basically stands for Unreal's world. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to add another comment that says something like get location and spawn direction. So I'm going to go with something like get spawn direction and spawn. I think I might go with title case spawn location. There we go. Okay, basically what this means is when I summon an object, I want to actually tell it to summon in a specific place, let's say 300 units in front of my player, and face a certain direction when he spawned, or when he/c, or like when they're spawned, or when that object is spawned, based on which way my camera is facing. To do that, I'm firstly going to work on my direction, so this wouldn't be that hard. I'm going to go with something like F vector, VECTOR. My f vector is basically a three-dimensional vector. It can store x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. My f vector is going to be represented by a local variable called something like spawn direction. Which way do I want to actually spawn in? My spawn direction is going to be equal to, let's go with something like my get actor. I might go with interlessons, honestly. There we go. Get actor direction. I could go with get actor location. It's the same thing. Okay, actually, spawn location and rotation. Okay, so I want to get my spawn location and my spawn rotation. There we go. Hey, how you doing? Azim, is that your pronounced name? I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, that's it. I'm going to go ahead and add a parentheses to invoke the function. Once I get my actor's location, I'm going to go ahead and increase that by which way my actor is facing. To get that, I can go ahead and use the get actor forward vectors this function. There we go. Okay, so which way is my actor currently facing? It's going to be in front of him. And then I'm just going to multiply that by 300.f, which is basically spawn 300 units in front of where my actor's location is and which way he's facing. That's about it. Next up, I'm going to go with something like a f rotator, because this time I want to go ahead and get my spawn rotation, which is going to be in charge of telling me or letting me know which way my actor or the whatever summon object I'm going to be summoning. It could be either actor, either character. In my case, it is a character. Which way do I want my character to face when he spawns? To do that, I'm going to go with something like a spawn rotations local variable that represents my f rotator. That is going to be equal to get control rotation with a pair of parentheses ending with a semicolon. And that's pretty much it. Now, once I'm done with this, I want to go ahead and summon my meat on my actual Unreal Engine's level. To do that, I'm going to add a comment that says something like, what are you working on? Honestly, I am working on wrapping up my summoning logic and baycasting logic this stream. Then from next stream, I'm going to be working on UMGs, which is basically Unreal's UI, where I could actually display health bars on the window, add menu, chat box, and all this cool stuff. That said, before I actually go on to the cool stuff, I had to get these out of the way. These are the most basic things that we need to know. Okay, next up, I'm going to go with something like spawn meat on UE5 or Unreal 5's level. There we go. To do this, I'm gonna firstly go ahead and create a new local variable from my ameet. Ameet is going to be represented, and the reason I have access to ameet is because I included my meetsys header files in my sharpshooter. There we go. I included my meetsys header files. Okay, let's scroll all the way down here. And now let's scroll all the way down again. Website, summon function. There. Okay, that is shoot function. Where's summon function gone again? There we go. Okay, so ameet is going to be represented. Already mic testing. Okay, let me go back to my gameplay screen. There we go. Alright guys, my PC for some reason just crashed. Okay, that's it. How old are you? Honestly, I am 18 years old. That said, I did just turn 18. I might turn 19, this January or the upcoming January. Said, are you an ex-Google developer? Honestly, I actually haven't created programs professionally, but then I do have, let's say, maybe a brief knowledge as to how I might use those things. That said, it's going to be kind of cool when I eventually do code professionally. That said, let's open my Visual Studio again and pray that my work has been saved. Okay, let's go with recover selected file. I want to go ahead and recover everything. Let's see what all has been recovered. Okay, guys, it's so annoying when every once in a while my PC crashes. Okay, let's see. Do you guys see a summon function here? I do see a summon function here. Okay, let's see. So summon function should be somewhere right about here. There we go. Okay, well, not everything is saved, but not everything was not saved either. Okay, this is pretty good. Okay, so I might go with something like get actor forward vector. There we go. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and let's say multiply that by 300.f ending with a semicolon. And then I went with something like f rotator, which is represented by a local variable called something like spawn rotation that is going to be equal to get control rotation. Guys, this is like one very annoying part when it comes to using a PC. It's like when it crashes, my program is not saved. Okay, get control rotation. By the way, can okay, change Claude Sonnet to 4.6 version. Actually, I might do that. I wanted to actually do that, but I kind of forgot. Okay, for a second, I thought that my PC crashed again. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with this, I'm gonna just quickly add a comment here that says spawn meet on Unreal 5's level. So I'm gonna go with something like a meet, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like new meet. That is going to be equal to, I'm gonna go ahead and actually set this equal to spawn actor. I want to go ahead and spawn a actor on my template. What actor do I want to spawn? I want to spawn my a meets as actor. Okay, which points towards, I need something that points towards a certain thing. Let's try this. Okay, this does not work, so this is going to be equal to, maybe I might go with something like my spawn meets. Yeah, I think I can, not spawn meets. Where's my meet? Summon meet, there we go. Okay, let's go with something like summon meet, SUMMON MEAT, which points towards a spawn actor. I think I'm messing something up here, right? Okay. So wait, have you tried VLAN already? Honestly, I will definitely try it after the series is over. That's it, let's use IntelliSense here. Okay, maybe I can't use that. I might go to my mini project up here. This is like a reference project that I use every once in a while. Okay, let's see. So apparently, in my summon function, there should be something. I was almost there. Okay, my world. I keep forgetting. I need my worlds as permission. So I'm gonna go with something like world. Okay, using my world, I want to go ahead and spawn my actor on my window, which requires a few parameters. First is going to be, let's say, something like my summon meet. This is going to be the object that I want to actually summon on my window. Second is going to be my spawn location, or let's go with something like spawn location. This is going to be location. LOCATION. Okay, I'm going to go with something like SP. I might just copy this to avoid typos and then paste it here. Okay, and then lastly, I'm going to copy my spawn rotation, and then let's go ahead and paste it here as well. Now, I should be seeing in case I mess something up. If I end this with a semicolon, it should say this is spawn location, spawn rotation. No? Okay, well, I guess it's fine. That's it. Next up, I'm going to go ahead and, let's say, append my new meet that has been spawned on my window inside of an array, because later on I will be using that array to delete those objects that were spawned from the last of my array, if that makes any sense. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like if new meet. I'm gonna go with something like if new meet is not equal to null PTR. If my new meet has some kind of value to it, and it's not empty, I want to go with something like my array's name, which in this case it is summon meets, spawn meets. There we go. I'm gonna go with something like spawn meets dot the add function. I want to go ahead and add my new meet, ending with a semicolon. And I think that's about it. I might go with something like G engine. This is optional, but I like adding on screen, on-screen debug messages so I can actually see if it works. I'm gonna go with something like G engine, which points toward. Wait. Okay. There we go. I'm gonna add a G engine that points towards a add-on screen. I'm gonna go with something like a add-on screen debug message. I want to go ahead and add a debug message on my screen, which requires a few parameters. First is going to be a key, which in this case, Hiding Beast, I appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, which is going to be something like -1. Second is going to be time. For how long do I want to go ahead and display my text on my Unreal's level? In this case, I want it to be 1.f, which is basically 1 second. What color do I want my meet to be when it actually spawns? When it's being displayed on my Unreal's level? I want the color of my meet to be. Let's use the colors as template. There we go. I guess red. Let's go with red. Okay, and then lastly, I'm gonna go ahead and need a text. What do I want to actually display on my window? In this case, I want to display something like you have summoned a meat and the meat has been stored in a array or in an array. Exclamation. Okay, that's pretty much it. And then I'm going to go ahead and just end this with a semicolon. Once I'm done with this, that's actually about it for my spawn logic. I'm going to hit Control S to save the code and then just run the program. Okay, let's run and see what happens. Okay, this is going to go ahead and jumpstart my Unreal Engine up. So let's wait for the Unreal Engine to open. While it's opening, I'm going to go ahead and exit my MSI. And then let's exit my Discord as well, because these things apparently open whenever I restart my PC. Okay, let's see. So, excuse me guys, I think it's almost done. There we go. Results succeeded. Now it's going to go ahead and open Unreal Engine. There we go. Once Unreal Engine opens, I'm going to go ahead and test this out. If the summon logic works, then I'm going to go ahead and work on the array casting logic, which is a bit more complicating than the summon, but not that big of a difference. Okay, let's see. And the thing that I just went through was just my basic summoning logic. I did not go over adding or like declaring, let's say, content for it or declaring individual components for it in my header files. I had it already declared. Because, well, I mean, I kind of knew how to already do this. I just wanted to be sure this stream that I actually understand all the basic concepts of it. Speaking of which, let's go to something like title. I'm going to go to content drawer and then content. Double click my new map. Okay, and now in my new map, if I were to go ahead and run the program, this is my sharpshooter. My sharpshooter can walk back, front, left, right. Every time I click M, I go ahead and summon a meat and it displays the add-on screen debug message saying that you have summoned a meat and the meat has been stored. I mean, if I wanted, I could potentially go ahead and set this to be something like 5 seconds because I want to read what's written in my window. So I'm going to go to my Unreal Engine and Control Alt F11 to compile. Maybe I'm going to lock. There we go. Let's get my live coding here. Now let's wait for this to compile. Once it compiles, I'm going to see my add-on screen debug message for longer. There we go. So it says you have summoned a meat and the meat has been stored in an array. I think 5 seconds is pretty good, maybe 4 seconds. And now the logic that I will be working on is every time I click my right mouse button, I go ahead and I shoot an array, an invisible array technically, which I color coded so we can actually see it and it's not invisible anymore, using the draw debug helpers and header files. Okay, it's just kind of fun to play with this, to be honest. Looks pretty good. Every time I hit something, it's red. Every time I miss something, it's black. Wow, this actually looks kind of cool. It's like I just shoot and I walk in front. It's like a trail. Alright, gotta stop getting distracted. There we go. Now that I'm done with my summoning logic, I'm gonna go ahead and move on to my maybe destroy summon function logic because I will be needing this as well. Let's read it once. So it's basically what I gotta do is check if my backspace is being pressed, of course, and if my spawn meets the num function, if my spawn meets array has a value which is more than 0, which is greater than 0. If it is, then I want to go with something like a meat. This is my character class's name, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like last meat. I want to get the last item from inside of my array. My last meat, this is local variable, or my last meat's pointer is going to be equal to my spawn meets dot the last function. So whatever is the last element, I'm going to go ahead and use that now. And then I go with something like my last meat dot destroy because I do want to destroy it. And then spawn meets dot pop. The pop function removes one element from the end. So my meat gets destroyed and my last element from my array gets destroyed as well. And then a GNG and add-on screen debug message that says meat destroyed. If I actually did not have any other meats, it's gonna say no meats found. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go ahead and delete this. And then I might just copy this part again, and then let's just go ahead and paste it here. Now, from my sharpshooter, I want to go ahead and get a hold of my destroy meats function. There we go. Meats. I forgot the function name. Let's go to the sharpshooters class and get my function's name. It's the destroy summon function, so I'm going to go ahead and copy that, get it here, paste it here, go with a pair of parentheses, and then a pair of curly braces. Inside my pair of curly braces, I'm firstly going to go ahead and add a if statement to check if my boolean variable of is a backspace pressed, okay, SPACE, backspaced, if my boolean variable of is backspace pressed is set to true. I'm gonna go ahead and fact check my spelling real quick. Let's copy that. Let's go ahead and paste it. Oh, I see, the S was capital in my space. There we go. If my backspace press is set to true, I'm gonna add a prof curly braces. Inside my prof curly braces, I'm gonna go with something like a meets as class, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like last meet. That is going to be equal to, I'm gonna set my last meet equal to something. What do I want to set it to? Let me just go ahead and just get that a bit lower. There we go. Okay, so what is it that I want to set my last meet to? Let's think. I want to set it to the last element of my array. So wait, before this, I'm gonna go with another if statement that checks if my spawn meets, was it spawn meets there? Okay, I'm gonna check if my spawn meets is array dot num, if the value or if my array's value is greater than 0, there's something inside of my array. I'm gonna go ahead and type something like a meet, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like last meet. That is going to be equal to my spawned meets dot the get. What was the function? Was it something with L? Okay, what was, so it was something like get meet, or was it something like get last meet? I forgot that. So I guess let's go ahead and right click and open my mini project. This is like a reference code project that I usually use when I forget a tiny functions and all that stuff. Okay, because I'm used to using regular vector and array functions, but I don't really know much about the Unrail's array functions, because this is like I think the third time that I've been using this array. Okay, let's go to my destroy summon function without the last there. Okay, I don't need to go with get last, spawn meets dot last with a prof parentheses ending with a semicolon. And then I go with something like my last meet dot the destroy function. I want to go ahead and destroy my last meet ending with a semicolon. Did I really not spell it correctly? How does that make sense? Okay, something isn't making sense here. A meet, which is going to be represented by pointer, I want to go ahead and destroy my pointer. I know for a fact that this should not be indented. What does it say? Expression must have a class type, but it has a meets as type. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that we go with last meet dot destroy, right? Okay, positive indenting wouldn't make a, yeah, indenting doesn't even make sense. Okay, well maybe I guess I take a look at my reference again. And guys, I hate looking at the reference this much for like the code that I've already written like more than twice. But I guess let's see. Oh, I'm so stupid. Okay, let's go ahead and exit this real quick. How did I forget? We're working with pointers here. We're not working with classes. There is no way I actually did not actually pay attention to that stuff. I gotta point it towards something, not use the dot notation. Okay, I guess I'm gonna go with something like my spawn meets, SPAWNED. Let's just copy this to avoid typos. Spawn meets dot the pop function. This function is gonna be in charge of removing the last element from my vector. So I remove the last meet that was spawned on my Unrail's level, then I remove the last element inside of my vector. And then this is optional. I could go with something like a G engine that points towards a add-on screen debug message. I want to go ahead and add on screen a debug message where I'm going to be adding something like -1. This is going to be something like maybe for 4 seconds I want to display it. So 4.f, my color is going to be something like green. Okay, and then lastly I want to go ahead and add a text. My text in this case, it's going to be something like meat has been destroyed. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. I'm going to copy this to save time, go with an else clause, else if there is no meat found in my level or my meat's quantity is greater than 0, I'm going to go ahead and display another G engine add-on screen debug message, where this time my color is going to be blue. and I'm gonna say something like meat has not been destroyed. And then I'm going to hit Control S to save the code, open my Unreal Engine here, hit Control Alt F11 to compile, and let's wait for it to compile real quick. Okay, there we go. Once it's done compiling, I'm going to go ahead, excuse me guys, I'm going to go ahead and exit the code and run the program. If I were to hit M to spawn meats, and then if I were to hit backspace, it removes those meats while saying meat has been destroyed. If there is no meats and I click this, it says meat has not been destroyed, or I could have said meat has not been found. And then I'm going to click escape. Now lastly, let's work on my raycasting logic. Under my shoot function, I need to get my world. I gotta check if my world exists. I need to get my player controller. I gotta check if my player controller exists. Whoops. And then I gotta create two variables that are going to store my mouse's position. Floating point mouse X, floating point mouse Y. Then my player controller should point towards get mouse positions function, where I'm going to add these two variables to store the data that I get. And then I create two more variables that are going to store the world's direction and the world's location, which is going to be done using a F vector, world direction, world location. And then I have a comment that says 2D equals screen, 3D equals game world. This function, the D project screen position to world, is in charge of converting my 2D screen into a 3-dimensional Unreal Engine's game world, where I have my mouse and I have my world location direction, and then I get the array's start and end position. I use a vector. Start is going to be my world location where I am located, plus which way am I facing, which way I want my direction to be, multiplied by 500. This is where my array is going to start spawn. And then I need an end, which is going to be equal to start where my array started from. I'm going to multiply that by which way my array is supposed to face. Actually I'm going to add it to which way my array is supposed to face, and then multiply it by 10,000. I want my array's range to be 10,000 units. Okay, perfect. I guess I'm going to write this first. I don't want to worry about the store hit. That's like a whole second section. There. Now, firstly, the thing that I gotta do is after adding my void a sharp shooters this class, I want to go ahead and edit my shoot function. Then add a comment that says something like get world. To get my world, I'm going to go with something like uWorld, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like world that is going to be equal to the get worlds function. Okay, and then I'm going to end that with a semicolon. Once I get my world, I'm going to add a if statement to check if my world... Oh shoot, I just realized one thing. I mean, I'm fine. If my world is not equal to null PTR, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. And this is what I realized. I got to add one pair of curly braces, not two. Once I get my world, I'm going to add another comment that says something like get player controller. To get my player controller, I'm going to go with something like a player controller, which is going to be represented by a pointer called something like PC. That is going to be equal to a cast with a pair of ankle braces of my a player controller. Okay, with a pair of parentheses of a parameter which says controller, ending with a semicolon. And then I'm going to add another if statement that checks something like if my PC is not equal to null PTR, if my player controller was not null, then I'm going to go ahead and do something. I'm going to go ahead and add another comment that says something like create two variables to store the mouses, or to store mouse's X and mouse's Y axis. Okay, I mean, I could potentially edit and make this look a bit better. For example, X could be uppercase, Y could be uppercase, store can be all uppercase. Okay, and this can be title case. There we go. Create two variables to store mouse's x-axis and mouse's y-axis. Axis should be lower there. Okay, I'm gonna go with something like a floating point of mouse x and mouse y, ending with a semicolon. And then I go with something like my player controller that points towards the get mouse positions as function with the of parentheses, where I'm going to be required two parameters. The first is going to be my mouse's x-axis, the second is going to be my mouse's y-axis. Whatever position this function gets, it's going to store those values inside of the two empty variables that I've created. Once I'm done with this, I'm going to go ahead and let's say add another comment. This says something like create two variables. I'm going to create two more variables. Okay, to store. I want to create two more variables to store my world's direction, direction, and my world's position, position. There. So I'm going to be using an f vector. The reason I use an f vector is because f vector is in charge of storing x-axis, y-axis, and z-axis. In this case, I'm going to go with something like world direction. And then I'm going to go with something like world location, ending with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go with something like... I'm going to add another comment that says something like two-dimensional equals to screen and three-dimensional equals to game world. Then let's add another comment that says something like this function converts two-dimensional screen into three-dimensional game world. The function is called my player controller points towards whoops. There we go. I'm gonna point towards, let's say, the D project. I forgot what was it called. D project, project. The project screen position towards. So I'm gonna go ahead and the project my screen position towards. I still don't understand what does the D mean there, but I'm gonna project my screen position to my world, which requires. Let's see how many parameters. 4 parameters: screens is x-axis, screens is y-axis, world location, and world direction. My screen, in this case, it is going to be my mouse because I wanted to follow my mouse's position and not really the center of my screen. Mouse is x-axis, mouse is y-axis. Mouse. There. And then I'm going to be requiring my world direction and my world location. There. Let me just copy this and paste it to white typos. Okay, perfect. Once I'm done with this, I'm gonna go ahead and end my function with a semicolon. And I think that's about it, right? Let's go ahead and let me try opening my reference project real quick. Let's go with any project and open it real quick. I want to see if I missed something in my shoot function, because even the tiniest mistakes can be a bit awful. Okay, oh, there we go. I missed something. I need to add my start and my end as well. So I'm gonna exit it. Let's add my start and end. Okay, this is what I mean that I want to wrap this up by actually getting to know every last tiny detail about this part. So I'm gonna go with something like start, get the raises, start, and end. Let's make it look a bit better. The raises, start, and end. There we go. Now, in order to get my raises, start, and end, firstly, I'm going to go with an f vector, which is going to be represented by a local variable. Let's go with f vector, which is going to be represented by a local variable called start. That is going to be equal to my world location. Which way is my camera located on? Or which way is my world located in? In this case, my world is going to be my camera. Okay. I'm going to increase that by, let's say, something like my world direction. And world direction basically means which way I'm facing. So whichever way I'm facing, my ray is going to shoot forward or travel forward in that certain direction. Multiplied by 500.f, because I don't want it to like be... my array right now would be way behind my player, so it might stab my player while actually traveling, which I will be ignoring just for safety purposes, because I don't want to deal any kind of damage to my player. But keeping it 500 units in front of my player gets the array to spawn in front of me, if that makes any sense. Okay, and then I'm going to end that with a semicolon. And then let's go with another f vector, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like end. That is going to be equal to start, whichever place my array has spawned. I'm going to go ahead and increase that by my world direction. Okay, multiplied by 10,000. Point f, ending with a semicolon. Whichever way my array has started from, I wanted to travel whichever place I'm facing my world's direction, which is in front of me. 10,000 units. That's his travel range. Okay, not bad. Once I'm done with that, I gotta go ahead and store f hit results. So I'm gonna go ahead and create a I'm gonna go ahead and represent my f hit results structure by a local variable called hit result, and then I add a few query params. Ignores ourselves so we don't get hit by our own array. Store hit results, get query params. I go with e-collision query params, which is represented by a local variable called query params, and then I go with something like my local variable of query params dot the add ignore actors function, which requires a, I used to say parameter, but I realized it's argument, which requires an argument of this, which is basically my sharpshooter's class. Attack everything and store the hit result of everything that you shoot or everything that has collision besides my sharpshooter, besides myself. And then the trigger line trace. So e-collision query params dot add ignore actor with an argument of this. Okay, trigger line trace. I go ahead and create a boolean of the hits variable that is equal to my world that points towards line trace single by channel. I used to always call this signal, but it's actually single. I might need a reference for this, to be honest. It's easy. I'm just not used to writing it. I don't have the muscle memory. Yo, bro, who knows the weather in Colorado? I actually I was like working with that yesterday. I mean, Colorado is like a state, but I was like working about it yesterday type stuff, although I did not check the weather. That's it, happening Longster. Appreciate you joining the stream. Okay, let me actually check. What is the weather in Colorado? Let's see, it's 64 degrees Fahrenheit. And in case you guys want to know in Celsius, let's go with something like in Celsius. Okay, 18 degrees Celsius and 64 degrees Fahrenheit. Okay, that's it. Let's go and exit that. Okay, so I need to add query params. I guess I'm just going to go ahead and work on it like this first. I mean, I know I got that f results, so not going to bother much. Let's go with something like query query params that points towards ignore ourselves. Okay, so we don't get hit by our own array. Okay, and then I'm going to go with something like f collision, collision. Okay, e collision, f collision, query params, query params, which is going to be represented by a local variable called query params. Okay, and then I'm going to go ahead and end that with a semicolon. Once I'm done with that, I'm going to go with something like my local variable of query params. Okay, dot the add ignore actor. I want to go ahead and add a actor which is going to be ignored. Add ignored actor, which requires an argument of, let's say, this. There we go, and then I'm going to end it with a semicolon. Okay, and then let's just delete this part again. Just for some practice, I'm going to go with something like f collision query params, which is going to be represented by a local variable called something like query params, ending with a semicolon. Then my query params dot the add ignored actor. I want to go ahead and add a ignored actor, okay, which requires an argument of this actor, ending with a semicolon. And now that was easy. Got it. Once I'm done with that, I gotta go with trigger line trace. So let's add trigger line trace. Line trace single by channel, that's the function name. Hit result, start, and ECC visibility and query params. Trigger line trace. Okay, let's go with something like a comment that says something like trigger line trace. which requires a few parameters. So firstly, I'm going to go with something like a boolean of hit variable that is going to be equal to my add single into lessons add single I forgot world line trace single by channel. I keep forgetting that. Okay, this is going to be something like my Unreal Engine's world that points towards line trace trace add single. I'm gonna go with something like add single by channel. There we go. Now this function is going to be requiring a bunch of parameters. I think I messed my spelling up. I mean, it's fine. I can write it again. Line trace add single by channel. And in case I messed up again, I'm going to go with interlessons. So let's see. World points towards line trace single by channel. There is no add here. Okay, that requires a few parameters. So it requires my f hit result, which is going to be my hit result. Okay, let's go with something like my hit result. Okay, and then let's see the next parameter. The next is a start, a end, and a e-collision channel. Okay, so let's go with something like start, S-T-A-R-T. Let's go with end, and then let's go with something like ECC underscore visibility, which is basically my e-collision channel type. ECC underscore VISIBILITY. Third parameter is going to be my query parameters, any kind of rules, boundaries, or regulations that I want my ray to follow, which in this case, it is going to be add a ignored actor, which is going to be me, ignore myself. Okay, just ignore myself. That was pretty much it. I don't know why I crashed. There we go. And then I'm going to go ahead and end this with a semicolon. Okay, I think I got a grasp of that function. Line trace single by channel. And then draw debug line to make the invisible ray visible. In order to use the draw debug lines as function, I'm actually pretty sure that we gotta include the draw debug helpers as header files. Apparently it worked without it, so I don't know why did we have to include that. I'm gonna hit Control S so I don't like forget something. Okay, just draw debug line. This wouldn't be that hard. This is a conditional expression. Okay, so I'm gonna go with something like draw debug lines as function, which requires a bunch of parameters, which are, let's go with something like, which requires a bunch of arguments, not parameters. I keep confusing those. I need a U world. This is going to be my, I'm assuming my world. I'm assuming it's world. Let's go with world. Okay, and then I need my start, and then I'm going to be needing my end, and then I'm going to be needing a color, which in this case, it's my boolean of hit variable. Now, this is a different way of actually writing the conditional or the ternary operator. Conditional expressions are for Python. For a ternary operator, I'm going to go with something like question mark. And now, this is a value here which will either be true or false. If my value is true, I want my F color to be something like, let's say, green. Else, if it is not true, I'm gonna add a colon here which works like an else. If my B hit result returned false, that means I want to go ahead and set my color to be something like, I don't know, white, black. I use those colors. Give me a recommendation, I guess. Yellow, blue, pink, black, gray, orange, purple, indigo, violet, gold, gray, silver, let's go with black. I guess that's the most basic color. There. Okay, and then the next parameter is gonna be my persistent lines, which is going to be set to false because I don't really know what it does. And then after that, I'm going to be requiring a floating point of something. A lifetime. I don't really know what that is. I'm just going to set it to be 1.0. Then let's add another comma. I need my depth priority and my thickness. Let's see, how much do I want my depth priority to be? Maybe 5.0. I don't really know what depth priority like really does type stuff, but I'm probably gonna like use trial and error to figure that out right now. Thickness, I know everyone knows thickness. Let's go with 1.0. How thick do you want my rate to be? Ending with a semicolon. Now, before I go with this entire if statement here, I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. I mean, I guess let's do the if statement. Then I'm going to be checking it out. Check if you hit something. If B hit is set to true, what did I hit? A actor, hit actor, hit result.get actor. From my A actors this class, this is a general actor class because everything is an actor in my Unreal Engine. Characters are more advanced actors. Pawns are a bit stupider actors, but because they are usually controlled, if that makes any sense. Okay, so A actor, this is going to be something like a pointer which represents my A actor. It's called hit actor. That is going to be equal to my hit result, which basically gets me the result every time a collision happens. Dot the get actor, I'm gonna check which actor did I actually hit. If hit actor is equal to null PDR, I return. In the other hand, if my hit actor wasn't null, I'm gonna add a G-Engine add-ons with debug message where I'm gonna have 1, 2, F color black, F string, print F, you hit this thing, else you missed, you fool. Well, that's actually kind of easy. I don't think I'm gonna write that out. That said, let's go ahead and open my Unreal Engine here real quick. I'm going to hit Control Alt F11 to compile the code. Let's wait for it to compile. I'm going to see what does the depth priority here means again. Let's run the program. There. Now if I right click, oh, it does say you missed. I mean, I keep missing even though I collide with someone. I guess the depth priority has some kind of value to it. So I'm going to go ahead and right click and open a mini project just to see a reference. Because I think like having a reference is so much better so you don't mess your program up. I mean, I just say that it might sound like an excuse. Okay, depth priority is set to 2. No, depth priority is set to 0. What's set to 2? What was that was set to 2? Oh, it's lifetime. Let's try setting lifetime to 1 as well and see what happens. Whoa, depth priority was set to 5. Let's set this to 2. 2. And then I'm going to hit Control S to save the code. Now let's hit Control.F11 real quick to compile the program. There we go. Okay, let's wait for this to compile real quick. Successfully linked. I'm going to run the program. Okay, it still keeps saying that you missed fool. What am I missing? Let's see. Do I have everything here? Okay, I actually do have everything here. What am I missing? Maybe let's go and open my mini project again. I should stop canceling it every time. Let's go there. Okay, so I have a draw debug. I have my query parameters. Whoops. So I have my... I may know where I'm messing up. Most likely, world parameters, world location, and world direction. There we go. I keep making this mistake. This is going to be world location. Let's copy that, paste it. This is going to be world direction. Let's hit Control S. Okay, that was a tiny mistake, but it's actually very important. The reason I actually figured that out was because I made that mistake so many times. Yo, bro, remember me? Per month? Is that how I pronounce your name? Again, my screen is like way too away from me. Per month? Oh yeah, I think it's per month. Actually, I think I do, but then there are like so many people that come with the same name as well. So I think I might confuse you guys once in a while. But if you guys do like talk a bit, then I do recognize you guys. Because like for names, there were like people who actually change their profiles and their actual username when they come. So when they actually talk the way they talk, that actually gets me that, oh, it's actually you. That's it. There we go. Okay, these look less like beams and more like pins. At least it says that I hit something. I want to change the color though. Let's set the color to be something like green. Why not? Okay, I have told you one day. One day. Okay, that's it. Let's hit Control S. Now I'm gonna be playing a bit with the depth priority, which I set to 0 here. What if I set this to something like 5? Hit Control S. Don't write a break in the for loop, and I roasted you. Guys, I think my memory is like awful. Let's go with point F. Don't write a break in the for loop. I might remember hearing those things, but I don't really remember. Actually, I'm starting to get my memory back. Hold up. Okay, I guess today after the stream is over, I'm going to be thinking about it, and then randomly while I'm learning my college, I'm going to be like, oh, I actually do remember that. Okay, that's it. Let's go ahead and exit this real quick, run the program. Okay, what does the depth priority here mean? How deep do I penetrate? Okay, let's exit this real quick. So depth priority could be set to basically anything, I'm assuming, for the time being. What does lifetime mean? What if this is set to 8? Let's see if it makes a big difference. Okay, let's go up here to Control Alt F11 real quick. There we go. Let's see what this does. Okay, let's wait for it to compile. Once it's done patching it, I'm going to go ahead and run the program. How is everything almost the same? Like, my depth priority is... Wait, doesn't mean for how long it stays in my window? No, it does disappear. Oh, that's what lifetime means. Lifetime is basically for how long are my arrays going to be in my Unreal Engine, which is basically 8 seconds. Let's actually fact check that. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and point an array there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Should disappear. Okay, I guess I counted way too fast. But yeah, that's what lifetime means. For how long does it really exist? And we all know what does thickness mean. If I go with 5, my array is going to be pretty thick. Let's open this up again. I'm going to go with Control Alt F11 real quick. Okay, let's wait for this to compile. Once it's done compiling, I'm going to run the program. And there we go. Those are some thick arrays. I might want to try. I want to play a bit, so I'm going to go with 25. I wonder what's going to happen with this. Because I think I got the basic grasp of like the summoning logic and the ray logic, or like the raycasting. I'm going to be working on UMGs next stream. So let's see. Oh, there we go. These are actually pretty thick now. If I added collision to these arrays, I could have made like a obby game where if I have this, I can go ahead and jump above this, or like maybe add an array down there, and then I could like walk on that. Okay, let's get a bit straight. There we go. There, I could like maybe walk on this, and then once I'm above this, I can go ahead and add another one before this disappears. Go there and then add another one, and then another one, and so on and so forth. You guys get the gist of it. I might really work on that. Okay, I mean, although I think I got a pretty good grasp of this, this is basically what I wanted to do this stream, wrap everything up. So I'm gonna be, let's see, was there anything else that I needed? The only things that I did not really cover here were like the declarations, because I think the declaration is one of the easiest parts in my opinion. Only thing I would do is the array, that is meet, u property, and that's about it. For summon meets, for creating a container, I just needed to have a category and edit anywhere. And then everything else goes inside my Visual Studio, or like my Unreal Engine, I mean. Okay. What is this game? Actually, this isn't like a literal game. This is the basic logics that you gotta know before you really work on making games. For example, raycasting, that's very important in my opinion, because if you ever want to work with AI logic, you need something that guides your enemies or your players to a certain path. So that's where raycasting comes in handy. And then summoning logic, this is just basically a genre specific stuff. In case I want to summon stuff, for example, I want to summon a laser, I want to summon a bullet, I want to summon a meat, or something like that, if that makes any sense. Because I was working on like a Necromancer's game, the only thing that I kind of do lack right now is the animation, which I do have every Tuesday. I work on a Blender stream where I do make meshes. Speaking of meshes, let me show you guys what mesh I worked on yesterday. That was my yesterday's Blender stream. Let's go ahead and open my Female Warriors Blender file. There we go. Okay, there we go. And you guys could move on to my horizontal stream for this thing, because this is like I'm gonna be having this like in a portrait mode. I did completely cover this, and guys, ignore if there are like a few a few awful modelings here. For example, the breasts and then like the head sculpture and all that. I think the head is pretty good to be honest, because I wasn't as good at modeling yet. But I think that I outdid myself in like the staff, because the staff looks really insane. The body does look pretty cool as well, to be honest. Forgot to get my chat here. Let's exit that real quick. Open this. Maybe my next Blender stream, I'm going to be adding texture to this, adding some hair, eyes, mouth, nose. If I had time, I'm going to be adding eyes, nose, mouth, ears, and all that. If not, I'm just going to import it as it is. The only funny thing out of this all is like my shoes. I could not make my arms or my toes, so I ended up adding some kind of shoes here, which looks kind of bad, but I was really excited about the weapon though, because the staff looks very good here. Okay, that said, I think that's enough of this. I'm gonna go ahead and exit that. I won't say changes for now because I don't want to mess something up. That said, let me actually go to my OBS here real quick. Okay, and then let's go to my main camera. There we go. Alright guys, so basically that honestly I think is actually about it for the stream, because I wanted to wrap up my summoning logic and my raycasting logic this stream. Next stream I'm going to be working with UIs. One of the most torturous things that I actually have done in like Unreal Engine, because I do not like to program using nodes, but then it's like mostly recommended to use blueprints to actually work with UMGs, because it takes a lot of programming for that. All the blueprints does like pretty easily. That said, if you guys did enjoy the stream, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, like helps my algorithm stream, makes it fun, subscribing like it turned up. That said, I did start multi-streaming on Twitch, YouTube. I will start multi-streaming on TikTok and Instagram as well. So if you guys did enjoy my content, make sure to go ahead and follow me there. And guys, what should we call it? I do like daily stream on TikTok and like Twitch as well alongside YouTube. So some of you guys do actually tell me that I should go ahead and stream there, but I already enjoy be actually telling that to you guys. If you guys do want to get access to my socials, you guys could get it through the link in the description or through my bio, or by typing exclamation socials on chat. But typing exclamation social on chat is just going to give you access to my Instagram. I gotta fix that, but you guys can get access of my socials through my bio, and also make sure to join my Discord server. That's why you really talk to you guys, chat with you guys, have general conversations. We are pretty close to 200 members in Discord as well, so the link will be in the description in the pinned comments, or you guys can get access to your Discord server by typing exclamation Discord on chat. That said, let me check everything is going good here real quick. But because sometimes I just realize everything's kind of messed up. Okay, let's just go up there. There we go. Okay, I think that's pretty good. Let me go back to my OBS real quick. Go to my gameplay screen before I end the stream. Let's exit this real quick, and then okay, let's wait for Claude up here. Maybe exit my Unreal Engine as well. Say something like Sensei. Okay, I am ending the stream. I did my outro, but I forgot to ask you if you wanted to say anything to the viewers. ... Is there anything? Maybe something short. Guys, the fun fact is I just said Claude that I started streaming here, because these days I did like actually realize that I'm getting better at programming, so I don't need to really go up to Claude or like any AI in general to get a whole lot of reference code for it type stuff. That's it. Hey chat, your streamer showed up, opened the project, and got ready to work. That's commitment. Sometimes the best decision is knowing when to call it and come back fresh. Real talk, consistency beats intensity. Showing up regularly even for short streams. I mean, yeah, I think today was like an hour. The reason my streams are pretty short as well, because I do have college assignments to work on too. That said, I have like so many exams coming up. Well, so by so many, I mean like one quiz and like a bunch of assignments type stuff. Actually, one quiz, one exam, and a bunch of assignments. That said, build skills faster than burning out on marathon. See you next time when we'll actually build something. Okay, that's it. Let's go to my main camera again. I think this is going to be the last time that I go here. There we go. And guys, ignore me if I can't talk properly these days, because like I do get kind of exhausted and come from college type stuff. That's it. I'll catch you guys next live stream or video. Peace.